Good evening. This is the Vocal Fry podcast, where we project ourselves onto everything we say. I'm Layla.
And I'm Drew. And yeah, there was that commenter last week that said I would like to ask him the question, but he wouldn't react anymore. He said everything we say is, or you specifically, is psychological projection. And because of your voice, he could tell. But then you're just judgmental. So why is what he says not psychological projection? He didn't have an answer to that. So if that listener is listening this week, I'd love to hear that.
What do you think about that, though? Because I know you hear that a lot, like pretty much everywhere. Like, oh, yeah, everything you see and experience and say is just a reflection of yourself. I think at a certain point, like, yeah, okay, it's true that you can only see things from your own perspective, your own life experiences, but not everything you see, say, do is a reflection of yourself. It can't be.
Yeah, you have
that.
your own opinions and you're able to formulate basically an opinion, right?
Well, yeah, you have to exercise your conscience and your discernment. That's what that is, to be able to judge a situation. That's one of your most important brain functions, your ability to look at something and judge it. But you can do even if you haven't experienced something. I mean, obviously the experience adds so many more depths of layer to, whatever it is. But it's just an endless loop. Like, okay, so if you're perceiving me and I'm perceiving you, then it's this endless loop of us just perceiving ourselves through each other. And that's just weird and doesn't really feel right.
Yeah, the ability to cast judgment is necessary. That's how you know if you're in like a dangerous situation or something. Mm-hmm. So when people say, oh, you should never judge, that's not true either.
Oh, yeah, exactly. If you didn't have the ability to exercise judgment, we'd all pretty much be dead.
Right.
Like, you wouldn't know, oh, you don't cross the street at this time, you don't
Here comes
approach.
a tiger.
Yeah, you don't touch the tiger.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know any of that. Yeah, so it's pretty important. And then people are very, I said this too, I don't remember who it was, but you're trained to hear the word judgment as a bad thing, and non-judgment is this compassionate stance. That's not true.
Yeah, that goes with what Benton likes to talk about, I think. And you can catch Benton and I every Sunday night on D-Live, 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Central, and follow Benton at nightmaredystopia.com. But yeah, Benton likes to talk about the nonviolent, peaceful protesting programming of Martin Luther King and Gandhi. Probably just created characters that were created on you. And then you're supposed to take that high road when, the enemy's seizing your property and everything's happening. You're not supposed to do anything because you're supposed to be like MLK and Gandhi. And they tell you only God will judge them when it's done, basically. Well, no, I would say if that God does cast judgment, but it would be cast down on you too for not fighting back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's your responsibility to know how to defend yourself and protect yourself against evil.
Your family.
Yeah, that's your duty to stand up for yourself. And yeah, I love to use this. I probably have before, so sorry if I'm repeating myself. But, you get the people that say, oh, well, there's the 10 commandments and thou shalt not kill is a commandment. So you can't exercise any type of violence on anybody. But translation's very important because it really says, thou shalt not kill the innocent, which means, yeah, if you're being threatened, it's your duty to protect yourself. You can choose not to and be passive because that's your free will. But no, you're not a good person for being passive.
Yeah, and letting the enemy just come and ransack you and your family and everything. That's something else I've been thinking about too, is that we have like a bunch of like hornets in the backyard, and it's like, man, we can't even go out there, especially with the baby. And it's like I want to find where they go, the hornet's nest, and just like completely destroy it, so to keep the kids safe, and so we could use the backyard. But then it's like I can't find it. But at the same time, I think like people are okay with that idea of what I just said. But then if you said, hey, you should root out all these people that are behind all these tricks that run your life and make you a slave and everything. And the same fate should meet them, and that should meet the hornet's nest. And people will be like, oh no, that, you know, that's way too far. How dare you say that or something? I think that's wrong.
Yeah, I think that actually is evil in a sense. You're allowing evil to perpetrate itself onto yourself and your family. And it is like that strength in numbers thing too, because I do feel like if enough people were to do something about that hornet's nest, as you call it, then it could be rooted out.
And I like to talk about too how dogs, you treat dogs better than humans a lot of times, in the sense that, like, yeah, if there was a rabid, mangy dog or something, you'd put it down because it's dangerous. But then you have these other people out here, you know, doing all this stuff to you and your family, and then you're never supposed to, you're only supposed to just peacefully protest, while the other side of the coin, they're out there burning down the entire city if they don't, you know, if one little perceived slight happens, they're out there doing that.
Yeah, and I always think about the people who really go after the death penalty and want that, you know, to be a non-existent thing, because oh yeah, you know, you can't kill people. They can kill people and they're on, you know, in jail forever, but you know, you can't put them down for that. But if you think about it, every action you do when you're doing evil things, it is affecting you. I think you said that on one of our podcasts too. You're really hurting yourself, even if you're hurting other people. So you're really doing a mercy to the person as well. If they're at that point where they're not going to be able to stop doing what they're doing, because there is that line, you can cross that line.
I like what Subphotonic says, so shout out to Subphotonic, and he says you can kill these people and sleep like a baby. People that cross those types of lines, you know.
And I think people don't like to hear that stuff sometimes, and you know, you might get some pushback for that, but at the end of the day,
it's been bred out of people over generations. They used to do that kind of stuff, like someone that hurt kids or something. It was just,
oh, you put the head on the stake outside so they see what happens when you hurt a kid that way.
The town itself would team up and go do it.
Yeah. Oh no, now they try to spin it like you have to have compassion for those kind of people.
And they could be rehabilitated or something.
Yeah. More compassion for the perpetrator than the victim.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, sick.
Okay, that was a hell of a long intro. Sorry we got sidetracked. What we wanted to talk about tonight is twin flames. Now, you guys have probably heard, I've heard of it. I don't know if I know the exact definition of it, but you always see it with these like cringy, like blingy gifts and everything. That's how I see it when I see it.
Cringe flames.
Cringe flames. And I think, I'll look up what the actual definition is, but I think the definition is it's like one soul inhabiting two bodies or something. Is that what they say it is? It's kind of like a new age. If some people have probably never heard of it, so it's like a new age kind of thing where these people, you know, instead of saying, "Oh, I met the love of my life," they say, "Oh, I met my twin flame."
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the new age a bit too, but it's one of those things that's a really ancient concept that the new age has just usurped and, you know, twisted and made really weird. But it comes from Greek mythology, actually, that when God made humans, the soul was one, like male and female together, and even the body too. Like there were some descriptions of that. You know, you had 4 legs, 4 arms, you know, all the parts, the female parts, the male parts. But then when God made them, he like split them in half. So you have male and female. And then like the soul aspects went with it.
Before we get into it, roasting it too hard, let me look at one more of these pictures. I want to look up like what the actual definition is.
Let's see if I knew what I was talking about, or if I was just bullshit.
Let's see what it says. Twin flames. What is it? 8 signs you've met your match.
Oh Lord.
This is a musical artist named Twin Flames. Hold on. Is there like a wiki about it or something?
Type like...
Meaning.
Yeah.
This is just from one site, but it says, intense soul connection with someone thought to be a person's other half, sometimes called a mirror soul. It's It's based on the idea that sometimes one soul gets split into two bodies. So sometimes it sounds like it's happening a lot. And they're saying here, it only happens sometimes. One of the main characteristics of a twin flame relationship is that it will be both challenging and healing. So every relationship, that's how I know it's a twin flame, because it's challenging.
Yeah. See, even that word too, the terminology here, it's based on the idea that sometimes one soul gets split off. Like, how to say it? Like, they're not everything can be true at once. You have an origin, a spiritual origin from your creator, right? Because you're a created thing. And you're always seeking that in some sense, you know. I think that's like that natural, like, human curiosity just to know where you're from. Because then you have like I've known kids that have been adopted. I've had like close friends, and they're like, there's always like that void I've noticed in those kids, like my friends that I've like grew up with and stuff. And they were always super curious about their biological parents and like where they came from, what country, what city, and all that type of thing. And I think you can kind of compare that to like how you're supposed to be as a human, to have that natural wonder and curiosity about where you came from. And you're always seeking that because you want to be in union with that. And then it gets, of course, caught up in like what the world tries to give you and how your nature has been inverted and perverted. And then instead of that natural curiosity, you're just left with a void, like what feels like an empty void. And you're trying to fill that. And then you get all these concepts like, oh, twin flames. Like, and it's not even just this. It's a lot of different things. You can even use like atheism. Like the world gives you all of these things you can latch onto and kind of identify with. That's really not going to satisfy like that curiosity. It's really only come from one place. I don't believe that sometimes one soul gets split off into two. Like, that's just, how does that make sense?
Here's another one that says, sometimes twin flames go through a separation period, and whether the separation ends up being permanent depends on that particular pair.
I mean, I don't think some souls are created differently than others. Like, everybody's different and has their own unique, like, gifts, whatever you want to call them, features, personalities, but...
What is it? What is
no,
this?
that just totally derailed my... 6 and above. Look at that.
Wait till they learn about 10th level Jedi. Spiritual. Oh, I thought it said spiritual implants. I need some spiritual implants.
I need a double D spiritual implant. Okay, so
imprints is what it says.
But I think because I noticed this like take off within maybe the past, I don't even know however long, like 5 years or so, maybe less than that. And it became one of those like spiritual community taboo things that just circulated, like, and then all of a sudden, you know, people were saying like everybody they're in a relationship with is their twin flame. Like, you meet a guy for a week and it's like, oh, you know, I saw 11:11 on my clock. You know?
That's why when we first met, I texted you at 11:11 so that you'd say, oh, he's my twin flame. It worked, huh?
Well, we have a baby now, so, you know, something to it. No. Yeah, I lost my train of thought again.
They're so cringe, all the like memes about it and everything, and the blingy gifs and everything. The one thing go ahead.
No, I'm going to cut you off. Go ahead.
Go ahead, because I'm going to change the direction a little bit, probably.
Yeah. I was going to say, because do you think soulmates are a thing? Because I think these terms also kind of meant something else originally and then got twisted by these like communities that used them as identities. So it's like, you know, soulmate has a very like, people think that's just like a romantic thing. Like, you meet your partner and that's your soulmate. But soulmates to me really is like anybody you meet that's going to teach you like a serious like lesson, like spiritual lesson, or even like mental or whatever. So it can be like a teacher, a parent, even your own kids, like in a way can like bring things out of you and like teach you stuff. So I think that's what that is to me. twin flame is like totally something else that meant something else to like a specific culture. And it's like the people that believe in it today, they're not Greek descendant, like most of them probably are not. But that's like something that they identify with. Just because it's like a word that's been circulating, how things tend to do.
Yeah, it's like the evolution of the soulmate. I think now they just say twin flame.
And then, oh, I'll tell you, because I've known some people that have said these things too, but it's like, when, this is just the stereotype, how it goes, like progression of it. When a twin flame relationship doesn't work out, then they say, oh, it's because it was a karmic relationship. So you have twin flame soulmates and then karmic partners. And the karmic partners are just here to like, teach you a lesson, and then they go away.
I never heard of that one. That's like the failed twin flame then, basically.
Yeah, it's just it wasn't a real twin flame. The real twin flame is still out there, but it's the twin flame divorce is when they just say, oh, that was just a karmic.
Okay. One thing I noticed of this twin flames, and this is all just my opinion, is I think it's something used by like abusers and predators, where they can say, like, somebody much older can like manipulate someone and say, oh, you're my twin flame. I saw a couple once at the store. It was like a really old, like a bull dyke lesbian, basically. Like, no offense, but then like a younger, 40s, 50s maybe, and then like a younger, like a straight looking woman, but then they were like together and holding hands and everything. And that's the first thing that came to my mind. I could totally be projecting that onto them, but I thought, maybe she lured her in with like, oh, you're my twin flame or something. Because someone that's young and impressionable would fall. And whether or not that specific example that I saw was true, that's something that could be used by someone as like a predator to like lure someone in, or not just an age difference, but then also like to get someone to, whether or not there's an age difference or not, to experiment in like a same-sex relationship or something. They could just say, we get along so good and blah blah, it's like we were friends, but now I have these feelings for you, and we must be twin flames. So I see it as kind of like a what do you call it, just like an abusive
thing. I have
not always, but it can be.
Yeah, I have two things to say about that, because I definitely have a story with that. So, and this is an extreme case. Like, I'm not in any way saying that everybody that believes in the twin flame connection, in their whole spiritual beliefs or whatever, does this. So, disclaimer. But there was this guy I worked with, and he was married, and like I didn't even really talk to him like much when we worked together. We weren't really like good friends at all. And then, I quit that job, and then like 5 years later, I think, he just like randomly reached out to me and started talking to me. And I found out later on it's because his like wife divorced him, so he was just probably trying to like, talk to anybody at that point. But he started sending me these like twin flame videos, and it was one of those like first things that kind of made me think like, oh, this is a like weird thing. So I asked him like, why, like, what is this? Why are you sending me this? And he's like, oh yeah, I think this is like my connection with you. And it was so like weird, because I've never talked to this guy like that at all, even when he reached out to me, and it just got really bizarre and weird. And then he even went as far as to locate my address and try to show up at my house. And then later on found out this guy actually is a like pedophile and all these things. And it got really weird. Not saying everybody that believes this is that, but your story kind of like reminded me of that. Oh yeah, good times. What I see with this though, and like patterns that I noticed. Now remember, on this podcast, everything we say is just us projecting all of our, stuff onto it.
It's all psychological projection.
Every bit of it, every word. But what I've noticed, like patterns of people that are, into this type of thing is like, it's the whole narcissist and empath like thing.
Yeah.
Heavy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which, that too, I think, is one and the same thing. And I'll always talk about that. And now I'm not in any way saying like, because obviously there are people who are highly empathic and really in tune to like that emotional level of like human psyche, and they can like, you know, people can pick up on feelings better than others, you know.
According to Instagram, it's like 75% of people.
It's everybody.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, because if you see in the bio, it's like you'll see empathic,
Empath.
healer, narcissist, relationship survivor.
Oh yeah, don't get me started. I've talked about
Now-
that before too.
Oh yeah, no, I have too, because that's something else you're just identifying with. You know, it gets to be like too much. But I think the people that use that term, the empath term, is like, you are still a narcissist, but in a different way, because these people tend to like see themselves as like these very high level healers that have been sent here for your benefit, for you to like awaken you, because you know you're just this like lost human, and then they, you know, use their traumatic relationship with the narcissist they were with as like, yeah, I had to go through this and break free of it to like become this healer, is what I tend to see with these people. And really though, like, I think the empath person like needs to feel needed, so that's why they stay with the narcissist, because they think they're like there to heal people and like awaken people, and they have like this special power,
which is also a narcissistic trait.
it is,
that where
it's
you're
100%. Yeah,
going?
you know where I'm
See
going
if
with
that's
that.
where you're going. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because you think you like you're set apart from people, like, no, I'm an empath, and then you get the starseed people too, because it goes hand in hand with that, like, I'm really from this galaxy, and
What about
I'm
the
an
Starfires?
empath. Yeah.
But yeah, they have, even like on this, I have just a random meme up. It says narcissists have no boundaries. They feel, this is from like the empath's perspective. It says they feel entitled to say whatever they feel is true, litter their opinions, whether it's rude, hurtful, or not true at all. They will then get angry when you defend yourself and blame you for causing drama. Well, that's it. You could say the same thing about the so-called empath or narc survivor with this thing. So the narc survivor / empath is entitled to say whatever they want about that person,
Yes.
whether or not it's true or rude. And then then they get angry if you say, well, what caused this or something. They'll get mad too. So whenever I read those like narc survivor things and with empaths, almost all of it applies directly to the person that's saying it. So it kind of does tie back to what we started talking about in the beginning of how everything's like a psychological projection. It's not, but
not everything, but in a lot.
Be.
Yeah, it definitely is. But yeah, it's just the narcissist and the empath person just feed their ego in different ways, basically. And a lot of times, I'm going to just be straight up. I think a lot of the empath people that stay in relationships with people they like to say are abusers stay in that relationship because they just need the victimization to make them feel like that becomes an identity too. Like a lot of these things do.
Yeah. They love the victimization.
Yeah, the victimization of it and stuff. And it is sad because...
and it's an industry. Look, I'm pulling it up and it's like book after book. And
yeah.
It's literally an industry, narcissist survivor. So we're in an age where they're creating narcissists. And I asked Benton on I think it was the last Sunday night stream, like, we talked about how social media is being used to create and hone narcissism in people. And I asked, like, what would be the point of that? And we didn't really have an answer at the time. And I've been kind of thinking of it. And well, it's because when in a society where everyone's a narcissist, then you need a third-party mediator, aka government, to get involved all the time, because no one's helping anyone else and no one's looking out for anyone else's best interest. Where that's how it would be in like a real, caring society. Everyone would be helping everyone else out. And so when you take that away and everyone's only looking out for yourself, then you need the state basically to come in and be the mediator.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's good. And that's every single person to ever exist has narcissistic traits. You have the tendency to be like that. Everybody does. It's just all of these terms and like ideas that you're fed, you can definitely get led down the wrong like path with it. But I do think it's sad because there are genuine people who do have like healing gifts that are just very good at connecting with people and helping, like bringing things out of them to help them like get better and work through, their own psyche and like issues or whatever. Yeah, you genuinely do have those people that have those gifts. So when you have an oversaturation of terms like this that people latch onto for the sake of identity, they don't even know why they're latching onto it really. It's sad because then those people get discredited.
The twin flames.
And I think it's like the new age stuff too, it's just, I think it's like I was kind of saying earlier, like people get so caught up in these just ideas that circulate and these like terms that circulate because they have that void that they're not fulfilling because they really are seeking like the origin of their creation, like their true creation.
Yeah,
And you're not going to find that in like a twin flame or a soulmate ever. Like you learn those things through like meeting people and like you develop your relationships obviously and you do grow in a lot of ways from that, but you're only really going to find like that kind of fulfillment with God, like in learning like, what is this? Let's see.
It's this twin flame versus soulmate.
Oh man. This is an expert now, I'm sure.
It's a meme. It's got to be true. But yeah, I think that's been also bred out of society over a long period of time is the getting rid of questioning why we're here. So then the manifestation of that, like you said, is in all this new age or ideas like this. Because then,
yeah, definitely. I always like to compare the new age ideas to the Tower of Babel when they're like, they're confounded in tongues and they can't understand each other because they have all these different like ideas and beliefs that are just like taken from different places and religions and cultures and just mash them all up into one thing. And you get the people that say like, okay, there's truth in everything in all religions, truth in all religions, which to an extent, I guess is true in the sense of like, if you look at all, even ancient cultures had something to worship because they are seeking the origin of their creation, which is in your human nature. It's ingrained in your human nature to do that. But not everything can be true at once. That's not true. Because that's when you fall into that moral relativism where everything is true, everything I think is true, and it's like based on how you feel about things, which it's not how truth works.
okay, so tonight you learned, hopefully, twin flames is BS. Possibly could be used, and in some cases I'm sure is used by like predator-minded people. Extreme narcissists.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, everything we're talking about kind of boils down to they have people focusing on the wrong things. We get so caught up and obsessed with terms that circulate, ideas that circulate, everything going on in the world that circulates. It's distracting us from like just doing what we're meant to do in our life and like being who we're meant to be. It's giving you the wrong things to chase.
And if no one knows who they are, like how could they possibly know who their twin is?
Absolutely. Oh, that's good. Yeah. No, that's very true. Absolutely. And I think because it's easy to make these things your entire identity, and it doesn't have to even be like a spiritual community thing. It can also be like the LGBT, people.
Even like I said, like the T-shirt community. People.
Yeah. Even that. It's
like anything where there's kind of like a community around it becomes an identity.
Well, yeah, because identities make people feel safe and secure and like they're part of a bigger picture and like a bigger whole because in reality, like you are a created thing, so you are part of a bigger picture, But it's been inverted to the point where people have these voids that they're trying to fill and it's just the wrong stuff. Now, not that I'm here to tell you what's right and wrong and what you should pursue because that's absolutely different for everybody depending on who you are. But the truth is still the truth no matter what, good and evil are still what they are no matter what. Obviously, there's gray areas in different situations, whatever. I understand that, but yeah.
So again, don't forget, it's all psychological projection because a guy in the comments said.
Well, yeah, we're both really just narcissists.
Yeah,
and
we're
empaths.
Twin flame narcissist empaths in a karmic relationship.
Yeah, anything else you want to say to it? I mean...
Not really, I think we covered it pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear what the viewers have to say about it. If you guys Got any twin flame stories? Did it work out for you? Maybe there's people out there that, if you want to rebuke what we're saying and try to prove us wrong, I'd love to hear your story or something like that.
Yeah, that's totally welcome, because also, like, I still do genuinely believe in, like, the strong spiritual connections, and you meet who you're meant to meet, and they, bring out what they're meant to bring out in you. That definitely. I'm more talking about the terms and how people get caught up in them, and it gets twisted into something that it's not even the origin, like, that it came from. But yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, you've been listening to that Vocal Fry podcast with Layla and Drew. Hopefully this is going up also to the Conspirotainment Radio Network. Shout out to Tim Osmond.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
if you're unfamiliar with the work here, you can go follow the Chalk Body Outline YouTube channel. I'm Drew, and I go live by myself every Friday night. I do this show with my wife Layla, pre-recorded on Saturday nights, and then every Sunday night on dlive.tv/chalkbodyoutline. I do a stream with Benton at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Central. So if you're hearing this somewhere out in the ether, come follow me. I also got, t-shirts for sale and all that. All those links are in the descriptions of the video. That's how you know I'm evil, is because I sell t-shirts.
You sell t-shirts to evil white men, apparently.
Yeah,
I
that's
saw
what
somebody say that somewhere.
one guy said too. Oh, the people that sell t-shirts, they're worse than the actual evildoers, like Bill Gates. Like, he didn't have a reason why.
That was a real comment too,
Yeah.
that I've seen. Yeah.
Like,
I
these
remember
people that sell t-shirts are worse than, like I was talking about earlier, the hornet's nest. These people that are trying to, like, kill you and your family, a guy that's trying to make a buck on his own created art, is actually worse. According to some truthers, man, that's what some of these people think.
Oh man. T-shirt salesman, the pinnacle of all evil.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, catch us on all those different platforms whenever you can. And thanks to everyone for listening.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Peace out.